Devourer got a bunch of changes to it on Thursday, which means that, of course, we have brand new talents and brand new rotations for Devourer Demon Hunter in Midnight pre-patch. So in this video, we're gonna go over them. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Let's get on to it. All right, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Voodoo here. Happy Sunday. A Sunday video. I'm doing this because well, really, I just don't have time to do the content schedule I want to do, so we're accelerating it a little bit. I do intend to do a video tomorrow as well, so on the Monday, where I go over like how we got here, I guess, and what I want to see changed to fix this, because we are in a dark place right now for Devourer. So the thing with Devourer is that they just buffed it to the moon. It does insane amounts of damage. It literally is doing like midnight numbers right now, which is crazy. But to offset that, the rotation is not great in single target. Now, I think the rotation is very fun in Mythic Plus. I think the rotation is really good inside of Void meta. But there are some problems that have come up following Blizzard's tuning changes, which I just don't think they thought about. So we're gonna go over those tomorrow in a video. But today we're just gonna do guide stuff. So obviously, you know, like, comment, subscribe. I don't want to keep you guys here forever. Let's start with talents. So this before you is our best single target build. So I would just play this on every raid fight basically, and this is Void Guard. So you might notice a few things have changed. So the very largest thing you might notice right away is that we are no longer playing some of these talents here, and we actually have the Reap talents. We're actually playing all of the Reap talents, like every single one. We have Burning Blades, we have Second Helping, we have Umbral Blade. We're not playing Sice Embrace because Duty Eternal is really good, but other than that, Moment of Craving, Soul Shaper, and Devourer's Edge. The other thing you might notice is that we're actually not playing this at all. So there's two reasons for that. The first reason is that we need more points to grab more talents, basically. And this talent's just dead. This doesn't do anything for Void's card right now because we don't cast Collapsing Star in single target. So there's no point to take this talent because it's a dead talent, which means that this talent down here is basically like a 2-point talent, where one of the points does nothing. So it's very inefficient to put points into it. And you'll see that a little bit later too. Instead, we have Calamitous, which is a crazy strong talent. Calamitous is what Know Your Enemy from Havoc wants to be. So all your critical strikes deal 240% damage instead of the usual 200. For reference, on Havoc, they have a talent that is similar to this. I guess I'll swap to Havoc and show you guys, where your crit strike turns into crit strike damage. So if we look at that, just open my talents here again. It's this one. It is a 2-point node. Gain critical strike damage equal to 80% of your crit strike chance. It's a little bit better because it can scale due to like crit effects, like initiative and stuff like that. But effectively, to get a 40% damage increase from this, you need like 50% crit, which I don't have. Well, this is my Devourer gear, but I don't have that. So for a 1-point talent in the Devourer tree, we're getting more value than this 2-point talent that requires us to change our entire gearing setup around it. So Calamitous is very strong. And because we're taking the Reap talents above it now, because Reap is crazy good, it means that we can actually take that. So since we're taking it, it means we have to put points somewhere else, and there we go. Otherwise, we're not longer playing Sweet Release because it's just bad. It's just a bad talent. We don't really need it. And otherwise, it's pretty much a similar build. The rotation changes as well, which we'll go to. For Mythic Plus, well, I guess here, I'll show you guys Annihilator as well. Annihilator is fairly similar, but again, we've dropped the 2 points from Sweet Release. We've put them into Umbral Blade and Second Helping because Reap is very good. So there you go. That's the only difference there. For AOE, this is the Void Guard build, and this is the build I would recommend. We are calling it the Fried build or the Cursed build, or whatever you want to call it, and you might notice something. Where the hell is the Hunt? So the Hunt is not being taken for a few reasons, but similar to single target, we just need these. These are just better capstones. Eradicate is insanely bonkers, broken, nutso insane right now because they buffed Void Reap and Cull so much. And Calamitous, again, is just very powerful as a 1-point node, especially because we're taking Devourer's Edge, which we are, we need to path down into. So because of that, we had to cut something, and we cut the Hunt. The reason for that is that this node does basically nothing. We don't really care to be in meta longer in Mythic Plus, and we also, like, Collapsing Star is cast, but it's not cast very often, and it's not very strong. So we don't really care about the Void Blade CDR. And then this node is like single target, same with this one, but they're very minor. They're not as strong as Calamitous or Devourer's Edge. The other reason we're taking Collapsing Star is actually just to use Rolling Torment. This talent doesn't work without Collapsing Star, so we need to take Collapsing Star to actually use it. So the thing you're looking at here and probably wondering is, well, doesn't this mean we lose out on Void Surges? And like, yeah, you do lose out on a Void Surge each Void meta due to demonic intensity. But one of the things that you might not realize is that the hunt does delay your meta, right? Like it extends your meta duration. So you do leave meta quicker by getting rid of this, which also means that you get more metas overall. So it's a bit of a give and take here. Like, yeah, you're losing out on more Void Surges in your one singular meta, but you gain slightly more metas overall, so it's not actually as much of a loss as you'd think. And in exchange, we're picking up crazy good talents like Calamitous, like Eradicate, like Soul Glutton, stuff like that. Umbral Blade is still taken here, just for some single target damage and some priority damage, because Reap and Cull don't do any AoE, but they're so strong in single target, it's like, who cares? So that's taken for that. And then, of course, Burning Blades is just bonkers. Finally, for Annihilator, which is actually quite close to Mythic Plus, you can play this build if you want instead. This is it. I hope you like 2-point nodes, because this build takes all of them. So there are 10 points in this tree, just put into 2-point nodes, and this build has them all. But yeah, this is pretty straightforward and similar to the old build. Just, Void Ray for damage. Nothing really too crazy that changed here. The thing we did is we dropped Scythe's Embrace, because who cares? And we picked up Demonic Instinct, basically. So just full 2-point build. And those are talents. I guess you can probably take Darkness and rearrange this one a little bit. I should probably do that, but that's neither here nor there. So those are talents. I'll go over into rotation. The only big major change is to Void Scarred single target, but we'll cover some of the other stuff as well, just briefly. All right, so we're here with the rotation section. Now, bear with me on this. The rotation, at least outside of meta, is not very good at all. All you push is consume. I'm not joking, you'll see. Once you're inside of meta, it is quite fast, so I'll do my best to go slowly. However, because I'm going slowly, it won't be that optimal. Like, you'll see buffs drop and shit and stuff like that. But I am going to go slow just so we can keep track of it all. So the general rules of the rotation, before we get into it, is that while you're inside of Void meta, you want to be pushing Cull as much as possible and using your melee abilities and Devour and all that stuff. Outside of meta, the only thing you're using is Cull. Oh, sorry, is Consume. That's it. That's it. That's it. You will use Reap to get the last few souls you need. You will use your melee abilities right before Void meta. But because of the tuning changes and a bug fix they did, you're not using anything else. So we're going to get into it. So we're going to open up with Consume. And then we're going to open up with Consume. And we're going to keep using Consume until you hit 46 souls collected. Yeah, this is the rotation. So you're going to be a good boy / girl / person, and you are going to sit there and push Consume until you have 46 souls. Around this point, you can probably start to actually pick them up manually. So we'll go like this. We'll Reap. Then we're going to Void Blade. We're not going to Hungering Slash. We're going to Hunt, and then Meta. From here, we're going to use Cull, then Void Ray, then Cull again, then Hungering Slash, backflip out, Pierce the Veil, Hungering Slash, Cull again, backflip out, Hunt, Hungering Slash, backflip out, one Devour, then Cull, and then Void Ray and whatever. From here, you're moving on into the normal rotation, and the normal rotation is a bit cyclical. What you want to aim to do is any point you have more than 4 souls on the ground, you want to use Cull. So basically what that looks like is you're going to get into a bit of a cycle where you go Devour, Devour, Cull. So Devour, Devour, Cull, Devour, Devour, Cull. And then anytime you have Void Ray, you push it and you use Cull right away because you're going to have more than 4 souls. And then we're back out of meta. And outside of meta, all you're doing, as you can see my character doing, is you're pushing Consume until the cows come home. You do not use Void Ray. You do not use the melee abilities. You do not use Reap. You use Consume. You don't pass go. You don't collect $200. Whatever you want. It takes about 20 seconds. Then, you can collect some. You can Reap. And we Void Blade, Meta, Cull, Void Ray, Cull, Hungering Slash, backflip, Pierce the Veil, Hungering Slash, Cull, backflip, Hunt, Hungering Slash, backflip, Cull. And that's basically rotation. You use Cull on CD as much as possible, and you just use Devourer to fill. You use Void Ray inside of meta only to get Cull resets, basically. And you do a lot of damage. You do a crazy amount of damage. I know my damage meter is a little low, but that's because I'm going slow for you folks. Yeah, so they really messed this up. I do enjoy. Also, don't use this. You only use your melee abilities before going into Void meta. Yeah, and your breakdown My Void Surge damage is low because of I was going slow, but your breakdown will look roughly something similar to this, where Call is your top damage by a mile. Void Surge will be higher if you're actually doing the rotation and yada, yada, yada. So the reasoning for all this stuff, I'll break it down a little bit. So the reason why I only use Consume outside of Void meta is because it is their most efficient soul generator by a mile. They made it always do 2 souls, which is good. But because of that, Void right now only generates like 2.5 souls per 3 seconds, whereas Consume is 2 souls per 1.3 seconds, which is like so much more efficient. And we're not taking in Sweet Release because that talent is just bad. It's just not good, which means that we just don't use Void Ray because it's not worth it, because it's a worse very generational, like it's a worse soul generator, which sucks because it means we don't get value to Student of Suffering. We're not using Reap because it just doesn't do anything outside of Void meta, right? It's just better to overcap your souls. Once we're inside of Void meta, Call deals a metric load of damage. We don't really need to build anything anymore, so it doesn't matter. Which is why we use Call on CD, and Call does a lot of damage now. So it kind of sucks. Oh, and the melee abilities are there because of Devourer's Bite. We're basically stacking Devourer's Bite into our front-loaded meta window when we have all of our melee abilities and Void Surge and stuff like that. And the reason we munch one is because they made a change where you can actually carry a Hungering Slash proc into meta. And because of that, it's better to do a Reaper's Toll than a Hungering Slash, and it's better to munch one to get better Devourer's Bite coverage on your meta window. So they've kind of goofed things. I'll have a video tomorrow going over it more in depth, but that's the Void Card single target rotation. All right, we're over here in AoE, and I'm going to talk about Annihilator first because it plays the same in AoE and single target basically, and then we'll talk about Void Card after. So Annihilator is pretty straightforward. It's basically the same thing. It hasn't really changed. You use Consume until you build to a Void Ray, or you can proc Voidfall. Then you'd use Reap. So we're just building here. Oh, I can proc Voidfall. I'll use Reap. Proc Void Ray, I'll do that. I'll enter Void meta. I'll Eradicate. I'll use Void Ray again. I'll Eradicate. And like, it's pretty straightforward. So you're basically just using Devour or Consume until Voidfall procs. You have Void Ray, or you can cast a Collapsing Star or an Eradicate. So, you know, it's pretty much what you know and love. You just deal much more damage, which is very good, of course. So yeah, that's that's that. I don't know. I don't really know how much what else to say about it. There's no opener. You just kind of build until you're in your meta. Same thing happens if you can use Cull when you're at 4 souls or above, just for priority damage, which is actually quite good for that. But there's not really like you already do it rotationally basically due to Voidfall, so you don't really need to, but you can. And yeah, I mean, like, this is it. It's pretty straightforward. This is kind of like the idealized version of the Spec, if you ask me, just because I don't know what else you're doing. It is a small gain too to build up to a Void Ray. Well, not if you have Eradicate, but generally you want to try and like smuggle some things in, and I don't know. The Eradicate the Annihilator rotation is pretty straightforward. I just don't really have much to say about it. Like, push Consume as much as you can. Use Eradicate, or sorry, Reap or Cull to proc Voidfall. Use Eradicate at 10 souls. Void Ray on cooldown. Basically, that's it. That's it in single target. It's it in AoE. In single target, if you're playing single target build, you use Cull on cooldown like we do for Void's Guard. That's like the only difference. So if we go Salvation single target, it's the same thing, except when we're in single target, we just use Reap on CD. So we'll go back over here. I'll show you guys this. We'll start with Void Ray because I have it. You'd use Reap when you have Moment of Chaos, a Moment of Craving, or whenever you can proc Voidfall. Otherwise, you ignore it, and you just kind of build up to a Void meta. Go into Void meta, and then once you're in Void meta, you use Reap basically as much as you can. We're trying to build up to one because I don't want to waste it. Come on, baby. There we go. Go in, boom. And now we just use Cull on CD effectively. So it's basically the same as the other build. Use Cull as much as we can. And that's like the only single target difference, except you just do like significantly less damage, but the rotation makes a lot more sense. Like, the rotation is like not garbage nonsense. So if you want to play this, you can. It's just, you know, it is significantly worse. So just like fair warning there, but you know, it flows pretty well. So hopefully the rest rotation comes this way too. What can you say? All right, third time's the charm. AoE. I got a weird bug last time, so I canceled it. But the big thing about AoE for Void Scarred is we're proc smuggling, basically. So you know it. You know soul smuggling. You love soul smuggling. Well, we're proc smuggling. So you notice we have Hungry Slash. You notice we have Eradicate. When we bring these things into meta, we use them outside of meta. We go into meta. They get upgraded into their other versions because of like bug fixes and stuff. So generally speaking, when possible, you will be holding these procs until you enter meta. Void Blade's a little different because there is basically a cycle of using one with meta, using one without meta. So you'll use this, like if it's within 15 souls, like if you have 20 more souls collected and Void Blade comes up, I'd hold it for meta. Otherwise, just use it and then Eradicate. It won't always line up where you Void Ray rate before entering meta, but sometimes it'll happen that way. Just, you know, based on like how many souls you have coming in, stuff like that. So the opener is only going to happen once you have like 25 souls collected, and however many souls you have collected will change this. But basically what you want to do, build up to Void Ray, use Eradicate, repeat. In this scenario, since we have 25 souls, we'll hit Void Ray right as Void meta comes up. So we'll Void Ray, we'll Fell Blade, Void Blade, then we'll enter meta and do the rest of our stuff there. So, you know, I hope you like Consume spam. That's what we do here. So we're using Consume, we're building up to our Void Ray, which will happen at roughly, again, the same time we enter Void meta. We're hitting Void Ray here. We're going to use Void Blade, enter Void meta, use Eradicate, use Void Ray again, Eradicate again, Hungry Slash, backflip, pierce the veil, Hungry Slash, backflip, and now we're here. So in this scenario, we actually do want to use Cull every time we can, just for priority damage. And we also want to use it whenever it's upgraded into an Eradicate. You're gonna get like one Collapsing Star. Collapsing Star is not very good, so don't worry about it too much because like it really isn't good. But you know, that's basically the rotation. It's the same as single target. You just use Devour, Cull, and then every time you have a Void Ray, you use it. Then you'd use Collapsing Star. Here we're gonna send this, and then you just use Eradicate on cooldown and stuff like that. So it's pretty straightforward. You're gonna use Eradicate a lot. It does a lot of your damage. But you know, it's basically just this. You just build up to a Void Ray, use the Void Ray, use Eradicate. If possible, you know, you do want to smuggle that into Void meta, which we'll do here. So we're smuggling, we're using it, boom, we hit Void Ray again. We're using it again, boom, pierce the veil, backflip, all that kind of stuff. So that's basically rotation. It's all about using Eradicate. We use Cull whenever we have 4 more souls just for priority damage. You can skip this if you'd like, but you know, it is quite good for priority. So you know, I would recommend you do it. And yeah, that's basically it. Most of the time you should be able to hit one Collapsing Star. It can be difficult, so if you don't manage to hit it, don't worry, like it's not doing that much of your damage. But yeah, so smuggle stuff in, build up to Void Rays, use Reap. I mean, like you can see here, the damage is mostly Cull is this high because I believe the first Void, the one you smuggle in turns into a Cull but deals AoE damage. It's very strange. But yeah, Cull, Eradicate your top 2. Void Ray deals a lot. Void Surge does a lot. Collapsing Star does not too much. So don't worry about it if you can't hit it. It's like better than a Consume, but you know, it's like not that big of a deal. I don't know what Voidfall Meteor is doing here. I think this is just like a bugged damage breakdown, but you get the, oh, this is overall. Here we go, current segment. There we go, this is better. This is what you want to see. Collapsing Star does like 4% of your damage, so don't worry about it there. Eradicate does all of your damage. It plus Burning Blades is over 50%. That's just where we are. And then Void Ray is the rest of it. So smuggle stuff in whenever possible. If you can't smuggle it in, don't worry, and just blast that way. So yeah, there you go. I updated all the written guides over the weekend. They should be similar to this. I mean, I'm the person who makes them all, so if they're a little bit different, I don't know, just like vibe with one of them. Any difference that happens between them doesn't really matter. It's just like what order did I remember to put the abilities on when I wrote this that day, is basically what happens in some of these. So yeah, sorry. They should be all pretty similar though. If you're not, let me know. So yeah, that's the new changes. Devourer does a crazy amount of damage, like a ridiculous amount of damage, but the rotation, not the best, not the most wonderful of rotations. Blizzard, in trying to fix things, made things worse, which I guess if I had a nickel for every time that happened, I'd be fucking rich. I'm gonna have a video tomorrow, assuming, honestly, even if this stuff gets fixed, I'm gonna talk about it because I think it's kind of crazy how we ended up here. But my video on Monday will be me going over like why this happened, basically, and like what Blizzard did that was misguided, and how we're gonna fix that. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe. Yeah, sorry, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. You don't have to play this way. You can. if you want to do the most damage, and there's a lot of damage to be gained here. Devourer is very strong right now because of this. But Annihilator is fine. It's like 12k. No, it's not that bad. Yeah, it's like 12k DPS behind Void's Guard, but it's like on par with most other classes. You can play and get away with it. In Mythic Plus, either of them is better, so just pick your favorite, basically. And I'm sorry. I don't know. Don't blame me. Things will get worse in Midnight if we don't have things fixed. Like there's some monster pieces that have been cooked up for Midnight. So hopefully Blizzard sees this. Hopefully Blizzard changes some things. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. But how we got here. Hope you guys enjoyed. Go blast some damage. This stuff is really broken right now. And I'll see you guys later. So like, comment, subscribe. Peace. Thank you to everyone who watches my videos, but a big shout out to all of my channel members. Thank you to Starfox UI, Fear Redefined, J-Wall Drop 2011, Alexander Trifunovic, Loose Change CLX, Soul Ray 1, Leffy 3075, Ford R1, Maximize 1416, Spaghetti 1951, Furkies 1114, DMAC TYJC 113, and Jovion Lightbringer. Thank you all so much for supporting the video. If you want to support my channel, feel free to become a channel member down below. Obviously, you don't have to. I appreciate everybody who watches. But a big shout out to all of you. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.